like, subscribe, and leave a comment. So here is your review of Raw and Smackdown week commencing May 22nd. So Cody basically shows Cody turning up to the building with his bag, etc., ready to work, and straight away he's attacked by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar attacks him, and he also smashes his arm with a keg barrel, whatever you want to call it, and smashes his arm. Apparently his arm could be broken, so we will see. Obviously Cody Rhodes is writhing in pain. Then we go to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's in the ring. He said he has nothing to do with the attack on Cody Rhodes. Just want to make that clear. And also he's there basically talking about Roman Reigns, how they will beat Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out. So they're going to basically take down Roman and Solo, and the tag team championships are going nowhere, and they go into their main event tonight on Raw as sort of to give them confidence and momentum, because they're going to be facing the Imperium in the 6-man tag. And obviously the Imperium come down, circle the ring, and turns to a big brawl, which Riddle comes down for the save. Then we backstage with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce says Cody's situation is being reviewed and being monitored, and they're not sure if it's a broken arm. Then we have our first match, which is Ricochet versus Bronson Reed, in a really good match. But in the end, Bronson Reed gets the victory, looking quite dominant there. So congratulations there to Bronson Reed. Then we have Apollo in the back having an interview. Then the interview gets interfered by Dom, and Dom's like, "Mammy wants to get interviewed." So Rhea Ripley starts calling out Natalia, and obviously Apollo's not happy with that, so he interjects himself back into the interview, and then he's get called out by Dom. So they're gonna have a match later in the show. Then you have the third part of the Seth Rollins interview. He says he loves Roman Reigns, but he doesn't respect Roman. And he says Roman's been poisoned, and he's been poisoned by his own ego, and he's selfish. Seth said he wants to win the title so it can be a working title and elevate other competitors, and obviously defend it regularly. So we will see what happens there. Then we have Shinsuke Nakamura and Priest. Obviously they got into it last week, so Finn says he's going to hurt Shin tonight on Raw in their match. Then we have Candice versus Zoe in a decent match, but in the end Zoe got the victory with a good finish. I like that finish. Then Ali is getting interviewed in the back. Ali's basically saying how he's ready. He's a bit nervous about the match. And the interview is interrupted by Brock Lesnar. And he tells Ali to get a life. And then Brock basically comes out. He says Cody won't be at Night of Champions. And he issues an open challenge to anyone else, because obviously he just injured Cody in the back. And he says, anyone else wants to fight me at Night of Champions, come and step up. And who comes out? Cody Rhodes comes out with a sling, comes into the ring with Brock, starts brawling, and Brock gets him into a Kimura, attempting to break his arm. So we will see what happens. Then we have the Viking Raiders versus the Alpha Academy in a decent match. In the end, Chad got the victory. Then we've got Byron in the back trying to get an interview with Cody, but Cody gets mad and tells everyone to leave him alone. So we will see what happens there. Then we had Shin versus Finn Balor in a really good match, but obviously it's a Judgment Day. Obviously Priest gets involved, and obviously Finn gets the victory. So then we had Raquel versus Sonya Deville in a decent match, but in the end Raquel got the victory via some type of choke slam. Then she was beaten down by Chelsea Green, and then Shotzi came down for the save. So that looks like to be a new tag team forming. Then we had Trish in the back basically saying to Adam Pearce, because they're going to be a contract signing between Trish and Becky Lynch. And Trish basically said to Adam, can they have a no-touch policy? But Adam says no to her no-touch policy. There's going to be touch. So that's that. Then we have Trish and Becky having a contract signing. Trish is basically saying everything that Becky's doing is because of her. It's not because of a broken nose. It's all the work that Trish did previously, and Trish says she's number one. And Becky just basically says to Trish she's scared that she'll be forgotten, and they will see what happens at Night of Champions. Then we have Dominic versus Apollo in a decent match. In fact, go and watch it. I haven't seen it, but in the end, Dominic gets the victory. He hasn't really lost really recently, Dominic. He's been on a bit of a roll, I'd definitely say. Then we have part 4 of the Seth Rollins interview. Seth said basically it's time for change. And in the beginning, he was never meant to be the guy, but he worked himself to that position, and now he's going to go all in at the pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. Then we have Sami Zayn versus the Imperium in a really good match. Go and watch it. But in the end, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens obviously, but in the end, Kevin Owens gets the victory. Then in the main segment, you have Cody Rhodes in the back, basically saying to people he doesn't care, he's fighting Brock Lesnar, he needs to fight. And someone comes in, he doesn't know who it is, and turns out to be The Game. Triple H comes in. Triple H is saying they can't let him do that match because his arm's broken. Cody says he doesn't care, he's going to fight him. And what would Triple H do in his position? So it looks like Triple H is giving him the green light, so we'll see. Then we go on to Smackdown. So it opens with Sheamus versus Austin Theory for the US title. Really good match, but turns out there was interference from Pretty Deadly, which then led to Austin Theory getting the pin via roll-up. Then we go into the back with the Bloodline. Roman Reigns is obviously going to celebrate his 1000th day as champion next week on Raw. And when Roman was talking about it, he was talking about he can't wait for Jay to be there. That made Jimmy kick off, saying, see, Roman doesn't care about me, he doesn't want me to be there. And then Jimmy was about to leave, and Roman goes, where you going, sit down. Jimmy wouldn't sit down, and Roman gets into his face and says, do something then, hit me then. And then Roman basically says it'll be the same outcome as it was when we were younger, when I used to whoop that, you know what. And then Roman tells him to get out. So we will see what happens there. Things are heating up. Then we had Raquel and Shotzi versus Damage Control in a decent match, but in the end, Raquel got the victory. Then we have flashbacks and a review, basically hype video of Seth and AJ Styles before their match at Night of Champions. Then we have Cameron Grimes versus Adonis from the forgot the name of them now. I forgot the name. Hit Row, that's it. You don't see him wrestling. I need to forget their name. Just remember their name in time. Jesus. Yeah, so Cameron got the victory, and basically after Cameron got the victory, obviously he got beaten down by Baron Corbin on his way back to the locker. Then we had Bianca Belair come out, basically calling out Oscar for Oscar's change in attitude, how she basically turned heel and starts attacking Bianca every chance he gets, even ruined her celebration in her hometown. With that being said, Oscar came down and attacked Bianca again, and basically they were broken up and turned into a big brawl. Then we have LA Knight versus Rick Moose in a really good match, but in the end, LA Knight got the victory and then cuts a promo on the Street Profits, who was at ringside watching. I'm telling you now that he's good on the mic, I'll tell you that for now. Then we had AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross in a really good match. Go and watch it. It's like a warm-up match before AJ goes into his title match against Seth. As I was saying, had a little technical issue there. Yeah, so AJ Styles get the victory, going to face Seth Rollins at the Night of Champions. Then we have a Brock versus Cody Rhodes flashback. Obviously what's been happening between them, that's basically what's been happening, is Cody's been getting a beat down. Then in the main segment of the evening, it's the KO show, who invites Solo and Roman to come out, but Solo doesn't come out, nor does Roman. Paul Heyman comes out. He basically says that Roman comes out on his own time, you don't tell him when to come out. But instead they get the Usos come out, and the Usos basically say they want their titles back, they're coming for him. But then Kevin Owens basically takes over and says, Sami Zayn is right, you lot are being used, you lot are just being used and abused by Roman, and he's just running your life and telling you what to do. They need to stand up for himself. And then Jimmy gets mad and says he's been there from day one, he's the real tribal chief. Which then Roman comes out. Roman wasn't happy. He took the mic from Jay and Jimmy, took the mic from both of them, which then turned into a brawl, basically, and they all had an all-out brawl. Solo comes down for the backup, and basically they get taken out. Sami and Kevin Owens get taken out, and then it ends with Roman holding all the titles. Could you imagine that? The tag team titles and Raw and Smackdown titles. It's just going to be, he just hijacked the whole show. So this is why they've got to create a world championship on Raw. But yeah, that's your review. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment.